Good morning, this is August 20th, 2021, and these are negotiations between the ATU for their ECAT unit at Escambia County and the Board of County Commissioners of Escambia County. And I'm Mike Battermore.
And I'm Kristen Hewell with the County Attorney's Office.
Crystal Dura, HR, County.
Rodriguez Kimbrough, Escambia County Area Transit.
Wesley Hall, Escambia County.
Jim Stanton, Local 1395.
Mike Lowry, Local 1395.
Curtis Howard, International Vice President for ATU.
Elaine Wiggins, ECAT, ATU Finance Secretary.
Wes Moreno, County Administration.
And on video conference, joining us is Tanya Ellis of ECAT. So welcome, everybody. When we left last time, I know that you had a conversation with Rod and Tanya about Article 31, and I think you resolved it verbally, right?
Yeah, and if you don't mind, I'd like to go first this morning because we took a stab at drafting some stuff.
Okay, good.
And I want to go over it if you don't mind.
Good, that would be good.
We kind of left off where Article 31 was, we had some great discussions last time. We appreciate it. So. What I'd like to do is just go over what's in our packet I just handed you, Mike.
Okay. Did she go to same copy at the time? All right, thank you.
And so, Article 10 is a new proposal from ATU. We made some changes to our previous position on Article 10. And we highlighted it in yellow to just make it easier for the changes that we did. You want to go over, Mike, the changes and just let them know?
Well, yeah, it's highlighted in yellow. It's just, it's referring to the paratransit operator and the county employees if they were to apply. Our position of the offering of the position to them, and then it goes into them being able to maintain seniority for purposes of wages and vacation, but not for scheduling. For schedules, they would go to the bottom of that list. Of the scheduling list for schedules, and I think it emphasizes the idea that paratransit and county employees, if they were hired on to ECAT, that they would have priority before you would go outside. And I think we also asked that that postings would be put at county facilities where workers that have CDLs would apply, and same with the paratransit.
So the paratransit operators, that's not a promotion from bus operator, is it?
So,
No, they're not our employees.
They're not our employees.
So currently, under the existing labor contract, we have an MOU that automatically, because they're transit employees, and we negotiated it between the private sector side, which was First Transit, and with the ITL Solutions, that it's both contracts have that MOU that says that if they come over, it's an incentive to come over, because some of your best paratransit employees have many years of service. And they, go ahead.
And some of the problem was, Russ, when you guys took on the fixed route, which had been contracted out for God knows how long, you didn't bring in the paratransit. So when it was both contracted out to the private sector, it was all one company. So it kind of made a division. So directly, no, they're not your employees, but indirectly, they still do county work. And it would have been better for us if you would have, not you personally, but if the county would have just brought it all back in. Been a little bit easier for everybody. The work is the same, the work didn't change at all.
Transit.
It's still transit work and it's still county work. It's just the contractor's still doing, private contractor's still doing the paratransit side. It would be easier if they was all under the county and they would be able to just be like a regular county worker making a transition. So we're asking for it to continue to be that way, even though they work for the private side. And hopefully one day you decide to bring it in-house to make it uniform across the board.
So what you're asking is that they be given
Priority.
first consideration
Correct.
to fill an bus operator position should one be available.
Yeah, I mean, let's say, we already have some of the paratransit workers that have made the jump to ECAT. And they made it and they came over and they're county employees right now. Right now, 20 drivers down, there are some paratransit drivers right now that are actually considering to apply to ECAT. But they're concerned because they don't, I'll give you an example one, I won't give her name, but she's got 18 years of service, right? She's dedicated, good, loyal employee over there, but she is worried about coming over and potentially, she's got built up vacation time at the other property. And then having to come in as a new hire, she'd start at 2 weeks rather than what she's at now with 4 weeks, that type thing.
And so the biggest one is that had been honored and is being honored right now. So you had people who was with the private sector employer, and since you've been county, have came over and kept their benefits. So, we're asking for the practice to be continued as well.
So they've come over and kept
Yes.
their vacation
Vacation and
accrual,
the wage, right?
leave time accrual, and all
Based
that?
on the years of service, the wages.
So that's happened since the county has taken over.
We'll have to do an analysis to make sure, this is obviously the first I've heard about it, but doesn't mean it doesn't happen, so I can
Yeah.
run a report to see
Yeah,
who those people were and whatever transpired.
We don't mind.
And if it was in like the offer
Private
letter.
sector outside company, am I right?
it's a-
ITL?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're not our
We
employees.
were asking them to
Private
come over
company.
with the same benefits that our employees receive.
No.
No.
With the
Ask them
same,
to maintain.
They
what
maintain
do.
their
seniority.
wages and their benefit level that they accumulated over there. When they come over here, they would maintain that same, so they wouldn't drop in pay, in other words, if it was lower. And they maintain their weeks of vacation.
Based on their years of service.
Based on their years of service.
But wouldn't their pay, if they came over to us, wouldn't their pay be more if they came over to us, even if they've been there
Now
for
it
18
would,
years?
now it would, but not
Not by much.
necessarily, not necessarily,
The top pay is
not necessarily
beginning of
true when
our
it was
starting pay.
minimum wage, when it was minimum wage starting out here, so, no, it's not always the case. So, it's being practiced now, so that's all we're saying.
All right, I think we understand this, but just so that everybody's on the same page, I'm gonna walk through this. What you're asking is that, when we have a vacancy, that we're going to post the positions in locations where it says all employees. I think you probably mean employees of both the county and the paratransit operation.
Yes, that is correct.
It gets to see the open position. If either a county employee or a paratransit operator applies for the position, they will be considered before accepting other applicants. So there's gonna be a
Outside
first round,
applicants, right,
an internal round before an external round.
yes.
The county can still decide that among the people who apply in the internal round, we can not hire them.
That's HR.
But we then are obligated to give you a reason why we didn't offer the position to them.
If they're fully qualified.
Yeah, if they're fully qualified.
Okay.
If they had a CDL.
So we retain the ultimate discretion to decide who to hire, but if we hire somebody who's an outside applicant over an inside applicant, we have to tell you why.
Yeah, based on the quality. So if we got a county employee that has a CDL and they got their passenger endorsement, we'd kind of want to know what's the reason why you didn't accept them? You know, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you accept that guy from the road camp?
Yeah, yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
make sense.
I'm
right?
just trying to walk
Right.
through this, because it says, we retain the sole discretion to determine whether the applicant is qualified. Then you say when a county or paratransit operator is not offered a position and an outside applicant is considered instead, we meet with the leadership to give the reason for not offering the position.
Just to have a discussion. We kind of like to learn what the reasoning, the thought process.
I get it,
is not.
I'm just, okay, so that's a change in your position, which is moving toward our position, we recognize. And that's the hiring process. And then once hired, section 3 is that they maintain their seniority for vacation time and wage rates. Now, how does that work? Does that mean, let's say, if they come over and they become an operator, and we have a starting rate of pay as an operator, and they're making below that, they go to the starting rate of pay of operator? Or do they go to an operator with 10 years seniority?
So I've got 10 years of seniority. I would come in under the progression,
Yeah.
wherever that would be,
At the top rate.
which potentially could be the top rate,
Okay,
under that progression
okay,
that we've agreed to.
all right. I understand it now.
I understand.
Yeah, okay.
We want to attract transit workers to stay in transit.
But this doesn't specify, you stated that the intent was for these employees to come over and keep whatever accrued vacation time they had with paratransit, with ITL. That's not what this says.
Well, what did you take it to say?
This says that they'll maintain their seniority for selecting vacation time and for the purpose of wage rates.
Okay, well, the intent is based on their years of
So-
service.
so
we can
senior-
add that language.
But does that mean that, let's say I had 2 weeks of vacation time on the books with ITL as an employee?
No, we're
Does
not
that mean I'm
asking,
taking
we're not
those 2
asking
weeks
for you to
with me?
carry over their time. We're just asking you to honor that when I come over, I don't have to start, and I'd like to use more vacation time. I've been here 18 years, I'm getting 4 weeks over there. I just don't want to
What
come
is that
over here.
equivalent
Hold on,
to,
let me
Marcus?
finish, let me
Your
finish.
accrual,
Right.
based on your
Correct,
seniority.
the accrual. So when you come over, I don't bring over and you pay me out vacation time. I would maintain that my 4 weeks is there. Even though I'm at the bottom of the seniority list for maintaining whatever.
Meaning you are entitled to then get 4 weeks from the county, not that you're bringing out weeks over from ITL.
Correct.
Okay.
I have another question in the term. Do you know off the top of your head if you have a leave accrual at ITL, if under your current contract, they have a buyout requirement?
No, it's a use it or, you use it or you lose it.
Okay,
And we're in discussions with them now over those items, but it's a use it or lose it thing.
yeah, get them to agree to a buyout.
Trust me, we want to.
We just trying to get them to the table, what are you talking about?
Yeah, trust me. But yes, to answer your question, Christian, it definitely is accruals, not that we want the county to pay out what ITL is responsible for.
Yeah, based on the years of service, right? So if I've got, yeah,
You'll be good.
okay, I want to make sure they understand.
All right, Article 15, hours of work and overtime employees.
This is another proposal of ours.
We,
Go ahead, Mike.
we just think you should review this, it's short. It's very close to what you all had before, and we think that, there was a few strike-throughs that you had in yours. We added them back in, we're not sure what the reasoning was why you struck through them, but beyond section 2, it's pretty much the same as what you had. So we just would like you to review section 1 and 2 where you struck through, and which was the original language in the contract, and move forward from there. we think we could get this one done with you guys.
May I ask one more question about Article 10?
Of course.
We had a provision that was in the previous contract but revised regarding the probationary period that would apply to any employee who's promoted or reassigned to a different classification. That was not included in your proposal.
And it's the current language you're saying? Or
There was
proposed?
language in the old contract, and our proposal included a revised version of that language.
Okay, well, this is our consideration. If you want to consider something, then you can counter it and we'll consider it.
Okay.
So Article,
So let me, just so I think I understand 15, is the real sticky point what one would call daily overtime? Which is the second paragraph in what you gave us, which is you're eligible when you work over 8, 10 hours in one day?
Yeah, like, it doesn't happen very often
Uh-huh.
when they force you to stay over.
Yeah,
It
but
doesn't
that's the
happen very
difference.
often. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not, I think Mr. Kimbrough would verify that they don't force drivers to stay on when someone doesn't show up to work. They usually, that doesn't happen very often.
All right,
They have to do one trip.
They have to do one trip, yeah, usually.
So,
Mike, this is Tanya. I have
Hey.
a question. Is it possible, Mike Lowry,
okay,
that you first can forward me a copy of your proposal that you submitted?
Yeah, do you guys have a scanner? Maybe you
I'm
can
trying
scan
to
it?
scan it out from my phone to send to you. So you'll see multiple emails coming from me here in a second. It's taking me a little bit of time to scan them all.
if we need to, we probably get Kelly to scan
do
it.
you have,
Yeah, let me,
do you have an iPhone?
Yeah,
Do you have notes?
yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
So you just press on and then it'll automatically scan it, you know that, right?
Yeah, I got a tiny scanner, so I can just send it all at one time, yeah.
There we go.
I'll take it.
yeah, see if Kelly can scan
Thank
it
you.
for us.
is
So-
the current policy that vacation, floating holidays, fixed holidays, and union business is counted as hours worked?
Yes.
That's the current practice.
That's the current practice, yeah.
Okay. Ay, ay, ay,
I know.
okay.
So, just so I understand, so when you take off on vacation, that's counted as hours worked?
Yep.
For the purposes of overtime.
Which is very common in transit.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
Next one would be Article 31. We can talk about it briefly, but I know Tanya and Mr. Kimbrough need to be a part of that discussion. But the only thing we did is we drafted what we thought we agreed on that day. So nobody's seen it until this morning, so y'all may have a tweak here or there. But conceptually, this is what we discussed.
Okay.
So that would be something that they're familiar with. And most of it is Mr. Kimbrough's recommendations.
Yeah, Mr. Kimbrough and Ms. Ellis is going to have to look at this.
Yes, I'm sorry, Ms. Ellis, yes.
Okay?
Then we have Article 33, which is another new proposal from us of extra work. Mike, you want to walk them through what the
So-
changes are?
Well,
And then I'll highlight
so
it.
this is a proposal that, you know, I would hope that Ms. Ellis and Mr. Kimbrough would look through this and then come back with any questions that they might have, because, you know, this is close to the current practice that we have, and, you know, we'd like to learn more about what the biggest concerns are on your side of the extra board. We think that the current practice is put in here, right here, this is the practice, and we don't understand exactly what your thought process is on your side of the concerns of the extra board. So it's been working for a long time, it's running smooth. Hasn't been many grievances filed on extra work, and we think it works for the transit workers.
So if y'all have any questions, of course, we'll answer.
Okay.
37 is also a new proposal in a sense, but it's part of our discussions we had last time. I think the only difference was the 12 months of service part.
Yeah, what we changed there, it used to be 18 months of service, which made the individual go 2 years and 6 months before they retained their full, were allowed to get their full tool allowance. And I think we agreed the last time we met to go from 800 to go to 900 on the tool allowance. And we took out, because I know the county maintenance individuals get their tool allowance $100 a month. Mr. Marino, is that correct?
Yep, they get on the check.
Right, so we took out the part where if you weren't buying anything from the tool list that was approved, you had to get it pre-approved. Well, it's kind of tit for tat. You understand what I mean? So we took that out.
Yeah, but so why did we change it to the 12 months? You told me yesterday.
Yeah, the reason why we changed it from the 12 months, because it used to be 18, the first 6 months, and then the first 6 months, and then you had to go 18 months till you got your full tool allowance. So we changed it to 2 years instead of 18. Instead of doing an extra 6 months,
Right.
we changed it to 2 years, which it stays right there below the full-time technician after 2 years, and that's in the contract. But we made it a full 2 years for the individual coming in.
So I just wanted you to know our train of thought behind it.
So you're saying that you gotta be there 2 years before you're eligible for the $900?
Yes, sir. And after a full 1 year service, and it goes around 6 months, you get $350. And after the next 6 months, you get $350. And then after the calendar year comes around, then you've done your 2 years, and you get full 900.
Is that a seniority type of thing, or what is that?
I know, that's with an individual coming in, a new individual coming in, they've got to go a full year before they get any tool allowance. Because it used to be when you came in, you got your full tool allowance, and if you didn't like the job and left, then you weren't obligated to pay it back. So we changed that where you've got to work there a full year before you're able to receive that first $350. Then after that 6 months, and the next 6 months, you get $350 again. Well, that's your 2 years. So when the calendar rolls around, then you get your full tool allowance.
Okay.
That, to be honest with you, that just protects y'all, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I understand.
Y'all, the county.
Us?
Us.
But it does nothing for the guy coming in the door if he ain't got no cash to buy tools.
Yeah, there's nothing for the guy coming in the door for 1 year. He's got to,
Yeah, I want to check on some things.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I would be fine if they, after their first year, they go ahead and get the 900. I mean, I would be.
I would be fine with that. I mean, if y'all are willing to go that, I would be fine with that.
But I'm gonna make a couple phone calls just to make sure
Okay.
where I'm at.
Okay, well,
But I don't think I think we can take care of this one.
yeah, it's pretty short and sweet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then, you see Article 12, 22, 29, 30. We believe that those were already TA'd. We provided a copy, but y'all provided us a counter, and we were trying to figure out why you gave us a counter on articles that we had already had TA'd.
We consider the 4 of those to be TA.
Okay.
Okay, well, then on
And
the
40
record by saying that because they were signed and then we had
Okay.
I thought Article 40 was TA'd as well.
Article 40.
Good, it's gonna be one we're gonna discuss here in a moment.
And
Okay.
43 and 50. and 52.
We don't have a signed copy of 40.
Or the ones she's talking about.
So if they are, it's not a problem, it's just that we don't have signed copies of them for the record, for either side. So even if they're TA,
Okay.
we need to just carry it out.
Sure,
Okay.
So,
sure.
I can scan those and email them to you, not today, but I can scan them and email them to you.
okay, and that would be 40, and which one?
They're right there.
40,
43, 49, 50.
no, not 49, that was not signed. 50 and 52.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
49. So maybe 49 should be a quick one for us to get through this H2. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard about rehire policies, HR functions. So that's what we have, and then we have, I didn't put this down, but we have articles that we think that we can, that we're close on,
Okay.
and I'll call them out. Article 26, Article 27, Article 35, Article 45, Article 48 are the ones that we believe that we're close on and that we should be able to make some progress
So
with.
just have some
I'm sorry, I think
discussion.
I missed one between 27 and 45.
27,
35.
35,
Okay.
45,
She just-
48.
What is 27? Because I thought that was TA'd.
Let me double check. 27?
Is civil emergency work?
No, reduction in personnel.
Reduction in personnel, reemployment.
I believe that's, you may be referring to 25.
Well, I thought it was TA 6/5/2020, but
Which was TA'd.
27, reduction in personnel.
I believe it was.
And on 4/16, you gave a counter on it. That's what kind of threw us off.
27?
Oh, yeah, it says reduction. I'm sorry, I read the article before it.
So if it's a TA from that date, we're good, 6/5/20.
I will double check the date. But I definitely have 27 as a TA.
That's good. So
I
why?
don't I don't have it.
It's in your-
I don't have this.
I have 3/16/18 for 27 reduction in personnel.
I have Mike's signature on 6/5/2020.
Well,
The 18 is prior to the vote by the
we
commissioner.
probably, perhaps we TA'd what was
Do you need-
previously
Do you need a copy of
TA'd.
this?
No, I probably have that, but I don't
That-
have it
That's
with
good
me.
too. 27 is good.
All right, Mike, I don't have a copy of that. 27.
It's not in your packet? Okay, well, let me look to see if I have an extra copy.
I have, whatchamacallit, I didn't see a signature on it.
Oh, here's an extra copy right here.
I think it'd be good to-
No, that's not an extra copy.
Okay, so we're just gonna verify which date and make sure that it's the same, that we have the same verbiage. Is that what the goal is? I think that was like a lot.
Okay.
So you have it on the 18th, you said? 6/18?
No, I believe it was 3/16/18. I think we may have TA'd again what was previously TA'd.
Correct.
And
We
I
do
think
that
it
just to
was
look good.
status quo language.
Same
What's that?
things every year. We do that to make our record looks good. Look
I
good,
guess,
like
I
we
don't
keep
know.
Yeah, so
TAing the-
yeah, we do have both copies and they are. I don't know
I
if
think
that-
they're,
It just threw us off. I gave a proposal on it, that's all.
We re-agree.
Re-agreed again, yeah.
no, I think we gave you a complete contract that included what we had TA'd in addition to open articles that were proposals. I think
Oh,
that's where
okay.
the confusion's coming from. These
Okay.
were not new proposals.
Okay.
If they had been TA'd, they were still TA'd. They were just put in as a clean copy.
Okay,
All right, good. So 40, 43, 50, 52, and 27 are all TA.
we just need a copy of those TAs.
Okay.
That moves us on.
Got it. And 26, 35, 45, 48 are 4 articles that you believe that we're close enough to be able to close out or we're close to closing out. Okay.
I think we last gave you a proposal on 26.
We had some discussion on 26 last time too.
48 is duration, and I have that as a TA.
So
Let me check. I have that as
I
a
think the only thing
TA
that's
last
missing is
March.
the date, right? I don't have a
A date?
TA copy.
Yeah, because we don't know when it's going to be.
Well, there's no date. It says this agreement's effective after ratification upon the date last executed and shall remain in full force and effect for a period of 3 years. This is from March 2nd, 21. What date?
But what, did we TA that article?
That's what my records show, yes.
I don't have a copy of it.
Okay, so that was 48.
Do we have a caucus place?
We just don't have the signature on it.
I think I'm missing some signing sheets too. We need to kind of.
I sent all of those to Mr. Howard.
Oh, you got them?
I'm sure I do.
Okay.
All right, we need to take a caucus, and we have a caucus space that's available to us. Now, I thought that in 45, we had this conversation, I think last time, where what we have offered is just bare bones Florida statute language.
This is duration agreement, right?
No, I'm talking about management rights.
Oh, management rights.
Article-
And I
Yeah, I think
said-
you were gonna, we thought you were gonna draft that.
Yeah, because I think I said I was gonna go to Mark and have Mark involved.
Yeah, this is, I
He pretty
mean,
much said, yeah,
It's
that
good to go.
it's good to go.
yeah, because it's
Yeah.
just was the statute said.
Right.
I don't think we signed off on it,
No,
So
we have not.
but, yeah, so Mark did tell us, so for the record, Mark said it was involved.
All right, we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Chris, I'll log off as well.
Okay.
So, we want to give you a counter.
Okay.
Guess I'll have 4 days.
When is that?
We're going to give you a counter on 37, which I think
Thank you,
you'll
sir.
like.
Thank you.
Thank
So, $900, I mean, yeah, $900 a year is $75 a month. So what we're going to do is, we're going to allow you to accrue a $75 per month tool and safety shoe allowance from day one. There's no waiting period. The only waiting period is that you can't start cashing in the reimbursement until you finish your probationary period. So that means you're technically going to have a tool and shoe allowance reimbursement in year one.
Basically immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. We clearly understand the offer.
I think it's better than, I think it's even an enhancement over what's on our previous offer and what was on the table.
And the $75 just goes into the regular check?
No, the
No, no, no.
$75, you said you didn't want to do that. $75 just goes into your reimbursement account, like it is now.
Okay.
So they
Everything
provide
will be-
receipts.
Okay.
Everything would be the same. But it's just that, you know, when you come off probation, if you come off probation in 90 days, there's going to be $225 waiting for you. And then month after that, $300. Month after that, $375.
Okay, yeah, let us talk about that.
All right? We also have, we have pulled out what is the management rights clause that I think everybody is looking at and agreeing upon,
Yes.
so that we can TA that.
That should be. Thank you.
In your packet. Oh, I'll let you look at that first. I didn't jump ahead. This is the calendar that we want. In your packet, you have an article that is Article 49, called rehire policy.
Yes.
Policy.
Right.
We'll TA that.
Okay.
We have a counter.
Yes.
There's 4 of these.
Okay. Don't go nowhere. He's already signed the rehire. Wait.
Take a look. So, you know, I perceive that your team and Mr. Kimbrough and Ms. Ellis had a very productive conversation at the last session on assignments. And you obviously went away to try to capture what came from that conversation. We did too, to be perfectly frank. So this isn't like a reaction to what you gave us. This is, we already had one that we thought captured it.
Okay.
And so Mr. Kimbrough is going to take you through what I just gave you, which is
Okay.
what we had prepared for today.
Okay.
So, this one here, I thought, if we look at the one that was given to you all have a copy of the one that we proposed.
Yes.
I'm just trying to get a clear understanding of what, because I thought we left the table, Article 31, that was gonna be the easy one for us today. And when I come and I see what you all provided today, look like the special choose up and the return to work, it looks like that idea was like completely different from what we discussed last time. So I'm not, have you all had opportunity to look at what we proposed?
No, we just gave it to
No,
you.
this is the first time.
Okay, so what we proposed, section 1, operators should not be permitted or required to drive more than 12 consecutive hours. That's common. It matches pretty much everything that you all have as well. The definitions in section 2, general choose-up. A general listing of regular run assignment, extra board position, and days off that is posted for bidding once every 3 months and at such times that the county deems necessary. Again, there may be times that we may need to do another general choose-up. I think we all had agreed upon that. A special choose-up. A special choose-up may occur when regular jobs and seasonal jobs are added to the run schedule or at such time as it is deemed necessary due to significant changes in schedule and service requirements. Now, when I read you all, the one that you all provided, it says if it's affecting more than 5 minutes or more than 30 days. Usually, I just want to see what you all, why does that language have to be put in there if we still will have to do the agreed upon return to work type deal? We agreed upon it last time, I thought, when we had discussed that when someone is returning to work from being out from work, like they would just go to the extra board, like normal. Like, I mean, like it's not, I don't see where it's beneficial if someone has this opportunity to, or almost keep making us have to do like choose up over and over and over again. Or how fair is it if an employee is out and I have someone that's been doing that job that employee has left, and as soon as they come back, I have to give them back that job. That doesn't seem like that's right. And I just want to get a clear understanding of like why the changes occurred versus what we spoke about.
So Mr. Lane wants to comment.
So if you take away the bump down, in other words, if a driver, when we have a choose up and a driver choose a run, okay, and then later on, they might, go to the doctor or whatever and say they have to be out for surgery or whatever, and it'll be 6 weeks to 8 weeks when they return back. That job is open to the extra board.
Right, it's picked weekly.
Right. So why do they have to go to the bottom of the extra board when they come back? They just go back into their slot to their job that they chose.
And that extra work person goes back to being.
But
there.
now, if they don't choose a job
But so,
and they go out,
Mhm.
then they go to the bottom of the board when they come back because they don't have a job to go to because they didn't choose a job.
So, and again,
And I thought we talked about having 4 general choose-ups. And the reason for it was that we would eliminate that constant bump, right?
yeah,
And
but okay, and which is good with me. Like,
So that's
if we did 4 general choose-ups, that the whole return to work thing, okay, I'm willing, if we do 4 general choose-ups, the way that you all have to return to work, like, because I don't think that's, again, I have someone that's out 6 to 8 weeks, when they come back, them just jumping back into their job because,
we already agreed that that's what we was trying to get away from. But
But then-
Mr. Kimber, I think the only thing that when we walked away, we were trying to make sure is that if somebody, and we had this discussion as early as this morning, if somebody comes back, and we just did a general, and somebody comes back off the sick list, and they didn't have an opportunity to bid, they automatically go to the extra board. But we don't want somebody at the bottom, with top seniority, to go at the bottom of the extra board. That would be our only concern. Why would I have to go at the bottom of the extra board versus being at the top of the extra board, or wherever my seniority allows me to go in to the extra board rotation? That was our number one concern with all of the discussions that we've had. And we thought the 4 generals was gonna put us in a position where people that were out 30 days or more really wasn't affected by it, because we knew we was getting ready to have a general. They'd worked the extra board for a couple of months or weeks or whatever, wherever they fell into the rotation and were coming back. And we thought it was a win-win for both sides. While we wrote it up differently, I don't think we're still off from what we're saying. Right?
Okay.
I think we're agreeing with you more than you realize, and I think you're doing the same with us. So it's just how it got written up.
Yeah, because I agree, if we can get something that's written up, just like what you're stating, with four general choose-ups
Right.
being done, and I'm fine with if someone comes back, them not going to the bottom of the extra board, they go to the extra board, like.
Fill in wherever they are.
If Mr. Carter had to go and get 6 weeks worth of surgery,
Right.
whatever, I don't want Mr. Carter to have to go to the bottom of the extra board.
Right.
I understand, I agree with that. Mr. Carter will have to be number one on the extra board list,
Right. That's
so he can be able to choose those jobs over the extra board. I mean, for the extra board work, I'm fine with that. It's just, what I don't want to have to keep occurring is when we have this thing where when someone goes out, because again, at some point, my job is management. Like, yes, I care about seniority, but I also, at some point, I have to care, I have to be able to manage it all the way across the board. Because I want to get those complaints just like you do.
So if using Mr. Carter as an example, he
Uh-huh.
goes out 6 weeks, he comes back, and then he goes to the extra board. Let's say he came back in the middle of the week. He's at the bottom of the board until the new pay period, the next selection, the next selection of the weekly pick, is that what we're doing, you're saying?
Yep, I'm fine with that.
On the extra board, so he'd be picking based on his seniority then.
Right. On the extra board.
From the
But-
extra board.
What is the issue, my question to you is, what is the issue instead of him, because he's basing his seniority, to him go back to his run that he originally picked, and just moving the guy or the gal that's covering his job,
Okay.
and moving them, because they're an extra board operator.
Because that's the part that you all don't have to deal with. That's the part where, from a management standpoint, like I know you all do get to hear a lot of complaints, but those members who don't always come to you, those ones come to me. Like, how fair is that? Like, I've been in this job for this same job for 5 weeks, Mr. Kimbrough. Now you're just taking my job away.
They picked to be an extra board operator, though. They understood that being extra board, you move around.
Right.
Yeah,
They picked that.
understood. That
What they want is they want that senior run. That's what it is.
Yeah, but let's have this conversation. We got you. I understand what you're saying.
Mr. Kimbrough,
Yes, ma'am.
and I think I hear both sides of what you're saying. I think one of the things that, in order for that to work, that would mean that particular job, Mr. Carter's job, would not, if he's out more than 30 days, he's out for 6 weeks, then that means that job would not be, there wouldn't be any bump downs, there wouldn't be any special choose-ups. His job would still be open and would automatically default to the extra board. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what we're saying. yeah.
Each week it gets picked, Tanya, by the extra board based on seniority.
And in our scenario of talking, maybe he's not the best scenario because he's the number one guy. He would, even if it's on the extra board, he would get the same run every week in a weekly selection.
That's what I was gonna say.
Right.
It ain't always gonna be the most senior.
Right, so,
Preferred route.
so that's why I said, let us have a conversation around it. Mr. Carter's just so high up in seniority, if he came back to work, heck, he'd get his same run every week, even if he was selecting it. That's not gonna be the case for people that don't have the seniority
Yeah,
Mr.
that's
Carter
what-
has.
that's where the
And that's where the
conversation-
conflict
that's
comes in,
the
so
problem.
let us have a conversation about it.
Oh, well, he wanted me to bring this, using the scenario of his wife at the moment, we have a bid, she didn't pick because she's out. So if she came back, it's been over 30 days, she would have to go to the extra board until the next choose-up,
Yes, sir.
the next bid. But because she has seniority on the extra board, her seniority would kick in, and on the extra board, she could exercise her right there.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wherever it
And
be.
I'm agreeing
But
with
using
you.
her as an example, because she did not pick a run during the general
Let's
bid.
not beat it to death, but right, we both saying the same thing, let's have a discussion on it.
Okay.
That would be correct.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's pretty good. So we agreeing to the special choose-up language that they have? Did you look at that from our side?
Curtis,
Yes, ma'am?
this is Tanya. I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I just want some clarification, because I know that in the version that, the county has provided, it's stricken out, and I see that it's still included in your portion. Under the special choose up about the, compensation time, if it's affected more than plus or minus 5 minutes, would
Right.
require a special choose up.
Right, yes.
Yeah, it's in our
Can you speak
language.
to that?
What was you saying about it though?
I guess because if that's gonna be defined as if there's a fluctuation of 5 minutes or not, if that's gonna require us to do a special choose up. And from time to time, if there's there may need to be additional 5 minutes added or removed, would that automatically necessitate a special choose up based off if a job is, tweaked by 5 minutes?
Let us have a conversation around it.
Okay.
I think we had some very good conversations last time. I think that 30 days or more comes to, like we discussed, with having 4 markups. We don't wanna always do that. So let us have a conversation about it. And we'll get somewhere today on this where we can TA on this today. It's not a major thing for us. It's, both sides understand the conversation we had. We wrote it up a little different in my opinion, but I believe we can get there.
Very good.
There is some areas though that they've struck through that we need to discuss.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I see they've struck through section 2 again. The examination of the bid of the union prior to a choose-up. And the signing off of it. Not sure why that was done.
Did you hear Mike, Miss Ellis?
Yes, I did hear Mike. I'm reading at the same time, looking at both versions.
And
Our version is just exactly what's already in the contract.
yeah, and then I'm gonna have to read through the rest of it here to see what else, because I see, what does underline mean again? What's underline mean, the note where on the second page you've underlined some things?
That
Is that?
means it's new text.
Oh, okay.
We have underlined, a designated union official will be permitted to review the choose-up list and seniority list prior to posting. Is that what? you have a problem
Where
with?
is that?
The top of page, the second page. And we struck through upon request.
Yeah, but it's not, right now, we sign off on it,
Hey, Commissioner.
Okay.
so. There's a big difference between just reviewing
I
and
thought we
signing
was just
off.
I thought the open issue in 31 was section 3, and that's where we had the majority of our conversation about, and I thought that, and I thought we agreed to some of the, just about all of the other sections. And section 3 was the part that we were having a lot of conversation on. But let us look through it, and 'cause that's what I remember out of our conversation. So
Okay.
let us look through it. It shouldn't be hard. We had some really good dialogue last time.
Yeah.
I don't know where the striking of it. We went through last time saying section 1 we can both live with, section 2 we could both live with, section. And then when we got down to section 3, that was the conversation. So your position has changed actually.
I saw it.
So we'll review it. It's not something that's critical. I don't think. I think we just need to walk through it. Was that it, Mike?
Well, one thing that I do want to point out, maybe I didn't before, on the Article 37 that we gave back to you, is we accepted and struck the sentence on any tools not on the approved tool list must be approved before purchasing. So we agreed with you on that.
Okay, thank you.
The only thing that I would say before we break is, Mr. Kimbrough, did you want to have a conversation about Article 33?
Yeah. Article 33, I guess the only question that I would have about Article 33 that you proposed, I like everything in there except the only question I would have is doesn't section 2, 3, and 4, it kind of contradicts section 5. So I just would wanna know, like, why does the extra work assignments? Because it looks like the way you propose extra work that cannot be performed by operators on a particular day due to other assigned work will be considered extra work and will be offered to any operator who wishes to perform extra work on a scheduled day off. That actually takes away from section 3 with the extra board. Isn't that the job of the extra board, is to perform the extra work?
Okay, so that's 2, 3, and 4 contradict 5, is that what you said?
Yeah, because now it seems that extra work, the extra board doesn't have the priority for the extra work. The extra work now goes into like a seniority basis, to where now, so if I have someone that's on the extra board, like they don't do the extra work now, like I have to go and do seniority in order to do extra work. Is that what your section 5 is stating?
Okay, let Elaine and I talk about it, I understand what you're asking.
Yeah.
So
It's like we doing it now, that's what the extra board doing now.
Right.
going to
Extra board has
COR.
first preference.
Right, and they get the first job that's come up.
And if you exhaust your extra board, then it goes into a seniority
Yeah,
base.
but that's not how it's written. That's just, I want to make sure that it's written to get a clear understanding. So that, because what I read is I read that my extra work now, like when I got extra work, like I don't go to my extra board, I gotta go to my seniority list to find out who's available to do the extra
Well, if
work.
it's not written that way, as we said earlier, when we have other proposals, that's not our intent. So we need to clean it up where both sides are understanding the intent and doing stuff. We have no problem doing that. So let us.
And I just saw the section 8, 9, and 10 about the 3-hour windows. I just need that to be explained to me just a little bit better about 3-hour windows. But I'm even willing to, with the versus the 2 hours, usually it's guaranteed 2 hours. It's a point where it says guaranteed 4 hours. I understand, as I read that, I understand why that's stated in there. Because who would want to come in for only 2 hours?
Right.
But I just need to get an understanding about the 3-hour window.
Go ahead and give it to them now.
Go ahead.
When they choose, I guess this is for the floaters, the one float. You got extra board that will, like to choose runs, but the ones that be floating don't choose a job. So if their report time is at 4:50 a.m., if they don't catch a job, which is within that window, which will be 3 hours, then
I see
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, Ms. Lane, but what that does now, that takes away my ability as a manager to be able to utilize, if I have someone on extra board, who they chose extra board, right? And now I got this extra board job, I got this extra job that I gotta cover. Like now I gotta try to figure out how to, because if it doesn't fall into the window, now I gotta try to piece it together with multiple people now, which is happening right now.
usually they have times, they have to sign their names back. Now, that's the way it was before the pandemic, that's the way it was. I can't tell you too much about that part, because I don't do the extra board.
Yeah, well, if I just get you out, just please take a chance to look at the Article 33 that was proposed by us. And again, I like your Article 33. I seen where some things that were different from what we proposed, including especially like the 2 hours and 4 hours of work. But I just that whole article, section 8, 9, and 10 with those 3-hour windows, that's problematic to me only because when I'm doing scheduling, it makes it difficult to have to try to figure out how to piece together work with the extra work that I have by the time that everybody signed up.
Gotcha. So are you talking about the 33 that y'all gave us last time?
Yeah,
April-
it's 33 you're talking about.
April 16th, I believe it was.
Okay. As long as we understand which one we're looking at, that's fine.
And I know when you look at that one, there's gonna be some things that you're gonna want to just take some of the stuff that you put in this one into that one. It's gonna get
That's how you get to an agreement. Well, we understand.
So, would you prefer it to be just like it is now? With them,
So if they sign, yep, how it is now, they sign up for extra board?
Extra board,
Uh-huh,
right?
at extra board time, their days that they don't, go extra board
Right,
time?
you ready for it to be like that?
Yes, ma'am. Because
Okay,
it'll
cause
make it
I
easy.
worked on the part where me and Vincent and Wanda did with the overtime, you know, to see everybody get a chance to work overtime.
Yes, ma'am.
But that part, I don't know too much about. But if you feel like it's working better the way it is now, maybe we can just put that in there.
Yeah, but the way, what I took it out too, because I know right now currently, like on extra board, it has like 8 hours or 10 hours. Like now, I just scratch all that out, because if you're on extra board, it's that extra job that's available. I need you, if that's your
So-
day on extra board, you cover that job, because now I'm gonna have to piece together the work.
So let me just tell you where the window came from. It was done by abuse of dispatch on the extra board operators came to us. They were either getting sent home early and then told to come back, or they were kept, you know, they were in the middle of their shift, they were being given another full piece of work, and they were like, Lord have mercy, I have no lifestyle here, I can't control my lifestyle. Because, you know, that happens, unlike any other, well, I'm not gonna say any other county job, but unlike many county jobs, you know, that's a type of job, the extra board, where you don't know what you're doing from day to day. You show up to work and you find out your schedule the day before or the day of. And to maintain a lifestyle, it can be rough. And you know as well as I know, out of the extra board, some people choose to go there because they want money, they want to make extra work. But some people get pushed into the extra board based on their seniority.
Yeah, well,
So-
I can say again, I can't account for the previous mismanagement of the transit supervisor, but I know this is being recorded, and on my watch.
There were a lot more grievances back then.
Yeah, I won't allow that to happen. I can say that in good faith, that I'm doing everything I can to make sure.
I know,
that
but
the
you might not
transit-
always be there. I hope you will be, but you might not always be
We'll
there.
be there for a while. Really
Mike,
makes a good thing
and
happen.
Curtis,
Yes?
I just wanted to reiterate what Mr. Kimbrough was saying, that, hopefully, I think we're probably closer than what we think on this particular article. If you have opportunity to, reread the article that, was submitted previously, the intent of that article is to try to streamline, to try to ensure some of that consistency. Because we are aware when individuals are on the extra board, there is a lot of uncertainty as far as their lifestyle, their family, things of that nature. Hey, I don't know when, I'm coming and going. So the intent is to try to streamline it, so there's a little bit more consistency and reliability. If you're on the extra board, there's certain, you have a close to a set schedule as possible. So hopefully, we can kind of, between the two, come together a little bit closer, and so there'll be a little bit more streamlined consistency for both sides to feel comfortable with.
And Tanya, I agree, but I also I've been there, I was there long enough to know what reality is, day to day, what happens. And that's where the problem sets in, is if it's not in writing, day to day, a dispatcher's trying to fill work, and they're gonna do it. Mr. Kimbrough, I got an opportunity for you. They come out and they start begging for people to stay and take extra work. But we gotta have consistency so that you can avoid those grievances later where someone thinks that, there's no favoritism in how this works,
So we hear y'all, and let us look at it and see where we can look at both of them and see what we can live with. Whatever we can't, we'll come back and have a discussion on it.
Okay. Here's a copy of the rehire policy that's executed.
Okay. And we should sign off on this too while you're here. It's identical to.
Hold on, I have a question about it.
All right.
They took a paragraph out, so. I
They
need
took
to-
a paragraph
need
out?
that, yes, about when they have no policies.
Who's keeping it? You and Mike?
Yeah, but that's what, the next paragraph is not in the statute. And that's the statutory language, word for word.
Yeah,
And there's no reason why.
but I need it somewhere else.
We're just in a position where we're not gonna put in language in a management rights clause that has to do with what we can't do. Management rights clause is what we can do.
No, I understand.
What part are you talking about, Mark?
And it's in the existing contract, there's a second paragraph that says when they create a new policy, under the new language, It's, under the old language, just think they gotta give it to us 10 days prior. That way, if it affects terms and conditions of employment, we can ask to bargain. But if it's out of there, then they just implement the policies without even discussing. We're gonna have to be chasing after the commissioners have already passed it.
Well, I don't think it really works that way, if you ask me, because we're a public entity, not a private entity. So, you know, if the commission is going to pass a change in a policy, it has to be noticed. If it's a mandatory subject to bargaining, it has to be bargained before it can be implemented. But that's all.
Okay. Let's put that language in the contract, I'm good.
Yeah, well, that's just, we just don't think it's appropriate for a mandatory rights order.
Well, we can move it anywhere in the contract, I'll be happy with that.
Well, we can take it up wherever you want to move it to, but when we get there, but,
Okay.
all right, I guess that's what we have for now.
Okay. So we're gonna work on this till around lunchtime and then take an hour lunch, so maybe 1 o'clock for us to get back together.
It's fine.
Okay?
All right, thank you. Okay, let's do this while it's fresh in our minds, okay?
Why don't we go to
Mr. Kimbrough, she wants to just speak with you for a minute.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry. Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
By the end of the day? I know where you're at.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Crystal, I'm gonna sign off. Hopefully everybody has a good lunch.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll put them in.
Recording?
So you asked me what I'm doing for the weekend, what's your plan?
Okay, back from caucus, we're good to go.
Somebody, Mr. Kimbrough walked up.
Tony, coming back.
I don't know if this is because of the power outage, but the rest of it's not coming on.
Screen, the projection?
The computer.
Somebody's gotta warm up.
letter to, have you seen it? I was tied up yesterday, so I had to chase it to it. He's doing it. He's looking at that from the fences.
Can you call Miss Ellis on the phone and tell her about the twins? It's not working. We'll reset recorder.
I had to call
All
you
right,
on
we're
the
back
cell
from
phone.
caucus. Good to go.
Okay.
So I have you on speakerphone, and we're all here inside of the conference room area now. Do you need me to go, do you need me to call, is it another number I need to call on?
Yeah, call the 316 number before you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm here.
Yes, ma'am. So, yeah, so we have you, I have you, I'm gonna send the phone on the table so you can be able to, hear as well.
Okay, I guess we're back on the recording. We have Miss Ellis on the telephone.
Okay.
And I guess there's 4 pieces of business that we left with each other
Yes.
when we broke for lunch.
Yeah, so on Article, what's that, 45? On Article 45, we would like to counter Section 2 that's currently in the management rights clause, to move it to Article 3 and add it as a new section. Article 3 is still open?
So that's what you're going to propose for Article 3?
Yes, that's what we're proposing, to move it out of
Okay.
Article 45 and moving into Article 3.
Okay. And then
We've
when-
signed off on Article 45 the way it is.
Okay.
And have moved that.
Good.
So you can give that to them, please, and let him sign it.
So that means we've got another more TA.
Did they?
And when we get to Article 3, thank you. When we get to Article 3, we'll take that up.
Okay. Then on Article 31, we have a counter, but we didn't, I'm gonna have to,
Why don't you do 37 first?
because I want to walk in chronological order.
Oh, okay. It's gonna take a while to 31.
But that'd be all right. I'm working off of your document, so I'd like for you to, we're gonna counter it just verbally because we don't have access to printing and stuff.
All right, we'll listen.
Section 1, we'd like to unstrike it and leave it as is. We agreed to that on our last session that we talked about. We went through it, and y'all had no problem, so we want to unstrike it.
What
Section-
article do you want now? I'm sorry, I'm kidding.
Which article?
Which article again? 'Cause I thought-
31,
Okay, 31.
on
Good, good,
assignments,
good,
the one we had some dialogue over.
good. Yeah, no, go ahead. Let's go. I
So
just-
we want to unstrike that because we felt like both sides agreed to it last time.
That's right.
Section 2, we want to unstrike that, if that's language. On your article, section, it says Section 1, we'd like it to be Section 3, we're okay with it. The next one would change to definitions, where we've had some dialogue on, that would be Section 4. We'd like to change the 3 to the 4 as we discussed earlier, and we're okay with the way that paragraph reads. Going to special choose-ups, we have a counter, and the counter would start midways where it says, we'd like to unstrike, where it says, when a job's compensation time is affected by more than plus or minus, we'd like to change that from 5 minutes to 15 minutes. And we'd like to add the verbiage in, when an operator returns from being off work 30 days or more, that operator will be placed on the extra board based on seniority until the next general choose-up or special choose-up, which is just what we talked about. And then that paragraph, from our perspective, would be okay. The next one you have highlighted, crossed out, we're okay with that. Then it goes to section, it would be Section 5 after that, where it says all choose-ups will be conducted by the operations manager or designee and the union rep. We'd like to add "and the union rep," period. And we'd like to cross out the rest of the section. We're not comfortable with giving the sole direction to the transit director because of some software. That's an unknown territory for us. We're not comfortable with just outright just saying we agree to something and don't know what we're agreeing to. So that would be our counter to strike out the rest of that. The paragraph that talks about general choose-ups, we agree with the way you have it, so that's not a problem for us. The next small paragraph that says upon request, we'd like to cross that out because that's in section 2. It deals with it in section 2. The next one where it says general choose-ups and bids, we'd just like to add the 4th month in there by your selection as we discussed. We're okay with, well, we feel like we're okay with the next sentence. It says special choose-ups and bump out will be, that language being crossed out because it's already addressed. The next paragraph where it says the notice will indicate, the second sentence where it says operators are expected, it should be expected to choose. Well, we just need to add the word to choose instead of expected choose at their own. It doesn't read right. And then down at the midways where it says if an operator provides verbal, telephone, radio communication, or telephone or radio response, there it says that the operating manager, we discussed that before, it should be the union rep selects for the operator, not the manager selecting for the operator. And then we're okay with that paragraph. Those are the only 2 changes. We're okay with the paragraph. And we're okay with the next one, with the crossed out verbiage. We're okay with the one following that. We're okay with the one that has the no operator may take a choose up list. We're okay with the operators returning from, except in that last sentence, it would read that the extra board and based on seniority until the next choose up, which is the very, very last sentence. And that's what we discussed earlier. It's just somebody would fall into place wherever their seniority allows. We're okay with the crossed out part that you guys have in the yellow. We're okay with crossing out A. We're okay with crossing out B. The next section would be 6 instead of, I can't even read the number, I wrote over it. We're okay with that section, the way it is. Section 7, which we would like that one unstruck. And then section 6, we're okay with it being striked out. We have very few minimum changes, but it's stuff that we discussed.
Close, aren't we?
Ms. Ellis?
Uh-oh, she dropped.
She literally just dropped. Hey, Tanya, we lost you.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Ms. Ellis, were you able to hear the Article 31 proposal from the ATU?
I got bits and pieces of it. I was trying to follow with my laptop, but,
Yep. Well, I'll tell you, just for this, everything that's written, I've been going back and forth with some of the stuff with our operations. I think we are there with Article 31.
I did hear, and thank you, Curtis, I did hear the, portion related to the, minutes, moving it from the 5 minutes to 15 minutes, and I'm good with that.
Okay. Well, we worked off of your document and we believe we encompassed everything we discussed. So, we appreciate it.
All right.
I'm good with that, Mr. Kimber.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, all right, all right.
Okay, thank you.
31.
So 31 is, just needs to be cleaned up and then we can sign off on it.
Good.
37, I would go next to 37. The only change we have there is our side would like to cross out the $75 a month and leave it eligible up to $900 a month, which is our original conversation.
A month?
And make it a year. No, just let me finish. And so I'll start over. Put the $900 back in, cross out the $75 per month, and make it $900 per year. Where you get it up front, because that's when people will need it the most. Same thing we feel like, and that's the only change we have.
So 900, take out the $75 a month, make it $900 a year, and still not eligible for the first 90 days.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't change anything.
We didn't change
Yeah,
anything else.
else.
Will you hear that, Ms. Ellis?
That's better than you asked
I
for.
think it went back out.
So they want to put it back to the 900?
Yes, ma'am, just not, well, we had already agreed upon the 900, but just doing 900, well, we just paid that, beginning of the fiscal year. They get their 900, and then that's it.
Yeah, and the language stays exactly the way y'all typed it.
Yeah.
We're fine with that.
That's Christmas in August.
Yeah, and everybody would wait till their probation period to get it.
So it's after their, again, it'll be prorated, like, you gotta stay out to work 75% of the time, just like with the vacation, everything like we wrote it up before, except we're striking out the $75 a month.
But I think the question is, let's say you get hired in August. It's based on a fiscal year.
Is that the question, Ms. Ellis, that you're asking?
So,
Yes, so if we bring someone new in mid-year.
Listen to this though. Jim, listen to what the.
Yeah, well,
Oh, if we brought someone in mid-year, that question Ms. Ellis is proposing, if we brought someone in mid-year, how would we work that then?
I think it should be prorated.
I think it should be prorated.
I say, everyone's saying prorated, Ms. Ellis, like you're saying?
I'm good with that, as long as we can still, recognize that those new individuals also have the opportunity to get their tools.
Yes, ma'am, and they have to be on board for 90 days before they're actually able to get that.
Complete the probation period.
right.
All right, we're good.
Okay, so that's another one down.
All right?
And the last one we worked on, we need some discussion on. 33 is not as easy for us to navigate through,
Take some
looking at
time.
yours and looking at ours. And so I think we should probably do what we did like with 31, just kind of walk through it in a joint session and go section by section and try to agree to something. So that's,
31 is done.
31 is done, yeah.
That's good?
Yeah, they agreed to the changes and
Good.
wasn't
So-
much, but.
Yeah, well, we're here, so however you want to proceed on 33.
Ms. Ellis, do you have 33 in
So I
front
do
of
want
you?
to ask, have y'all had a chance to talk about Article 10 and
What's Article 10?
15?
I
Job
have
postings
33,
that we
the one
handed
that
y'all
they
earlier,
proposed,
and the work hours and overtime, which was
That's what's
Article.
next.
We have problems with the language as proposed, so we're gonna have to take that back and give you a counter. I don't think we're gonna be able to agree today on either one of those items.
Okay. So I don't know where we want to start with 33. I guess I will leave it to Mike from our side to lead the discussion, I guess.
So, I guess, Mr. Kipper, I'm gonna be talking with you and Ms. Ellis.
Yes, sir.
When you said you looked at ours, and you said you had problems with 2, 3, 4 not matching up to section 5, can you explain that a little bit to us, what your reasoning was, and your
Yes, sir.
concern?
Okay, so I'm pulling it up now.
Okay.
Just a second. So, when I read your extra work, so, Section 2, operators should not be permitted or required to drive more than 12 hours. 2 is fine. It's extra, it's number 3, extra board. The extra board is maintained for the purpose of having operators available to cover open work assignments. All right? The extra board is there to cover open work assignments that may occur due to the absence of regular scheduled operators or to cover a work assignment that was not bid during the general choose-up. The county, well, all that's fine. Section 4, extra board operators will receive priority in the distribution of daily open work assignments as they provide hearing. All right, so that's pretty much reading that extra board, they're gonna get the assignments, they'll get it. Now, some of our assignments, what happens is, right, someone calls out, so what does that mean? That leaves an open assignment. And so, Section 5, work that cannot be performed by operators on a particular day due to other assigned work will be considered extra work. Correct, that's extra work. But we just said previously before that the open work is gonna go to extra board operators. But now we're saying that the extra work assignment shall be assigned to all operators on a seniority basis as follows. Now, the way it reads to me, this is just what I'm hearing.
No, that's fine.
What I'm hearing is that if I have open work, I have to go through the open work. I can't give it to my extra board operators.
Nope.
So we think,
Just need to clarify it then.
yeah, we think after 4, that all open work is going to the extra board first. After you complete and is deleted all of your extra board, any open work goes to 5.
Because they're meeting their guarantee first.
Right.
That's all. Yeah, that's all I want to just make sure that we get that part clarified. That that number one, because I don't mind that my extra work that I got available. If Ms. Elaine, she gonna come before Ms. Page. I'm fine with that. On seniority basis, but I want to make sure that the extra board they get the first.
Right.
They got to cover all my open jobs first.
Right.
That's why they signed.
And we even talked about operators coming out of training class, go to the extra board first, and they will fill the open work too. Correct?
They would go, and they would immediately go to the extra.
Right.
But now I still want them to have opportunity to choose. If there's a choose up, until the choose up is available.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that worked.
Right, everybody goes to the extra board until the next choose up, and there's 4 choose up, so that covers new hires, that covers people off work more than 30 days, that covers a bunch of stuff, and we're not having the bump downs on a regular basis.
So what you're saying is you have an extra board operator. You have a piece of work comes open. You have an extra board operator who might be doing another piece of work, but the work that you have is available for them to fit in, and you can just assign them right in.
Yeah. If I got extra board cover board, they just sitting back there in the back.
Right.
I need them to be able to, if I got a job that come available, I need them to go into that job.
Right.
I don't need to stop and say, well, let me go into my people who signed up for my extra work, start calling them to see if they, they want to come in and do this extra work for them. I need to go ahead and get that. Because now what that'll do, they'll allow me to be able to get it filled earlier in the day.
Correct.
And have them wait.
We understand.
We agree with that.
Yeah, we're not opposed to that.
And so.
But I still agree with you all too, but the seniority portion of it all, I think that's how it should be too.
So what do we need to do to tweak the language where we're all understanding? Do you have a suggestion?
Where's the new contract?
So that's the thing. I think that sometimes I think that we put so much in here that it just it kind of muddy the water where it's unclear. Okay. I wish there's a way we could figure out, and I guess I can sit down and try to figure out how can we shorten it to just read this extra work should be simple. But it seems like we made it more. Yes, ma'am.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I just wanted to, I don't have the record in front of me, but I believe some of the language that was in the proposal for the Article 33 previously, it related to, and I know certain other transit systems do the vacation boards, because I think right now, recently since we have so many staff shortages, we have so many open positions, open pieces of work on extra board. We know in any given week, we're gonna have 3 to 4 people on vacation, off the top. That's just, regardless if everyone comes to work and we're fully staffed. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if trying to then minimize the amount of uncertainty, if we have folks that they signed up to cover that vacation work, and that's going to be their assignment for the week. We know all of our vacations are done in 40-hour blocks, so it's going to be a week. If Ms. Elaine is doing, she might be doing Ms. Morgan's, if she's on vacation this week, next week it might be Michael Brooks, it might be Janet Brooks or whomever, but that's kind contract in relation to that of, if, once you take those, we know these vacation jobs, a whole lot of them are gonna be there regardless, every week, you're gonna have 3 or 4. Then that remaining extra work. So I just wanted to get y'all's feedback on your thoughts on that, or trying not to make it more complicated, but trying
Goes to the extra board
streamline the amount
first.
of extra work left on the extra board.
It goes to the extra board until the extra board is fully depleted.
Yeah, so, I guess, what I'm hearing you say, Ms. Ellis, is by having, right now how we do the vacation hold down, but that's extra board work. That should be, that goes to the extra board. So,
And once
are you
they
saying do it, I guess,
And once those extra board operators based on seniority pick the vacation, they become regular operators because they got a full 80-hour job
For the week.
for the week.
or 40.
For the-
So you just want that language to be put in there, Ms. Ellis, just to add that into it?
You know, my thought process was, in talking to other transit systems as well, that their vacation is part of the extra board, but the person chooses, I'm gonna be a extra board vacation holdout, and I'll have an assignment, because I know someone's gonna be on vacation every week, and so I have a little bit of, you know, if I know who's on vacation, I kinda know what my, in advance.
So she's adding something that you don't have in your contract already, and I'm familiar with it, I don't know if everybody else is where you have extra board operators that specifically do vacation picks only. That may complicate what's in front of us, not, we've already given you the right to do that with extra boards, so weekly, they would pick that, and you wouldn't specialize that group over there, because once you do that too, it becomes, once you give ownership to something, it's hard to take back. If they're extra board and it's open work, and you're picking it by seniority, I mean, that simplifies it, in my opinion. But I know what you're saying, Ms. Tanya. Other transit agencies and other contracts in ATU have extra board, but they also bigger agencies where they have more people on extra board that they designate people just for vacation relief. But you can still do that the way it's in front of us today.
Well, I just wanted to throw it out there so we had all the different
No.
options and
We-
angles to try to approach this and kind of streamline it.
Yeah, I understand, and just trying to make sure that, I think that we are addressing your concern. We're just leaving it open-ended by saying extra board operator gets open work, no matter what kind of work it is, and that is picked by seniority is kind of simplified.
So I'm hearing, I think we're in agreement, we just gotta put it on paper. is that
Yeah.
right?
Correct, yes, sir.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying, man, and even his concern about shortening the language up, maybe you sit down with Mike or Elaine and them and just kind of go through the language and to where it's agreeable. I mean, I don't have nothing, on this side, I don't have a problem with that. It's kind of what we did last time. So if it's wordy, let's shorten it up, I don't have a problem with that.
So under our proposal, that's through 5. Is there any other questions or concerns under 6, 7, the rest of the
Yeah, he
sections?
talked about section 8, talked about the 3-hour window, maybe we can talk through that.
Yeah, I thought you said 8, yeah.
Yeah, 8, that 3-hour window. I can understand about the windows, but that's okay, let me just hear your thought process, because I can't say I understand the thought process for section 8, 9, and 10. Because for some odd reason, I just think that it's unnecessary to have like those windows like that, for like extra board. 8, 9, and 10, I just feel like.
Well, let's just take it one section at a time.
Okay, let's do 8.
8, Mike.
The extra board schedule will have a 3-hour window. Example, 4:25 a.m. report, and a 3-hour window will go to 7:25. That will allow for assignment of open run during the window time frame, which could be 8 or 10-hour run, straight or split. Operator gets the entire job. Once the window time frame is passed, example, 7:26 a.m., the extra board operator can only be assigned a piece of work or a whole job that does not go past their 8 or 10-hour job maximum window. Like, why are we giving extra board, why are we giving extra board like a minimum time? Because if extra board, let's just say that open job run for that day is a 10-hour job. So that is saying if I got an 8-hour extra board person, we feel like they're 8 hours, they can't jump on a 10-hour job?
And I think, so the intent here is not to give somebody to come to work that don't know what their hours are gonna be, that they don't get stretched out to a 14, 15-hour day. So if I'm sitting here with no work, this is what I believe the intent, and correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm sitting here with no work, and I'm just sitting in the break room waiting for an assignment, and I'm sitting there 3 hours, and then you give me an 8 to 10-hour run, now my day has become 13, 14 hours. I may still have obligations at home. I can't do anything. My day is tied up. So our position is that after those 3 or 4 hours, that they only get a piece of work that won't run them past a 10-hour day. They still should be given a normalcy to their day, understanding that they may not know what route they're going or what time it may start or what time it may end. But we don't think it's fair that I come to work and I may work a 16-hour day and I can't do anything else in my day. That's a little bit of our scenario.
Right, and that's the biggest complaint we hear from operators.
Right.
But I guess the only thing that now, okay, from a management standpoint, what I see, okay, this job becomes open. Now that the job is open, I gotta fill this job. So now what I've done now is I got an extra board operator that's now running this job, and now I'm keeping them in their window that's provided. I keep them in their window, they provide their job. But now that last piece of work, just using the scenario that you all use, now that last piece of work, now I'm having to go and find somebody else to cover that last piece of work now, because my extra board operator can no longer do that job because I got him in a window now to where, so cause I can't run them over. And I understand what you're saying. You don't want to be on a 16-hour job and they've been sitting 3 hours, but it wouldn't be 16 hours. But I understand what you're saying. But
Right.
Depending on when
But I can be sitting there 5 hours, and now you
Yeah.
give me a 10-hour run. Now I got a 15-hour day.
Can I ask a question?
Or there's a split
Of
in there
course,
too.
that's what we're trying to get.
Why do we have people just sitting around?
Well, they're not necessarily just sitting too. They're
That's what they're doing.
pre-tripping buses.
Yeah, but
Yeah, they're going out on the tarmac.
they're not driving
Going to
buses.
tarmac.
Passengers and stuff like
It's
that.
It's really a standby fill-in position for somebody who may call in for unknowns, and you're not paying out overtime. So the extra board operator is a regular operator sitting there that is just on regular straight time. Now, he can fill it by extra work board, but that's an overtime cost. So the goal is to, and I'm not speaking from management's perspective, but the goal is to try to have people that are there that can fill pieces of work that come open that particular day in the blind. The dispatcher doesn't know that Curtis is getting ready to call off. So when I call off, now you gotta fill that work, that route still has to go out. But I seen your hand up.
yeah, but the reason my hand, because that's exactly what I'm stating is now I got my extra board to cover the piece of work, but now I gotta get somebody else to cover the piece of work that the piece of work is supposed to be my extra board operator. That's what I'm saying.
So that's where your dispatchers have got a stagger where they put people to come in
On
to
extra
cover-
board.
on the extra board to cover the board, to cover your
So in
potential
our,
open work.
in our scenario, we would rather an extra board come in and be staggered, so that's why we have it in here. So I'm here for 3 hours, I didn't have a piece of work, somebody calls off, now there's a 10-hour run. But I would work the 5 or 6 hours of that run, and then the last 3 or 4 hours of that run, then other operator, extra board operator sitting
Picks it up.
around would pick it up.
How long does a guy sit, the lady sit, average, is it a time period where they leave? I'm asking if it's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours. When they come in, is there a set time that they don't have anything by the end, they then go back home? Or there's no limit to it, they may sit for 8 hours? And then do
It's
2
up to
hours?
them, it's up to management,
It's
yeah.
up to dispatch.
It's a
It just don't happen?
Yeah, because someone could 1061, which means that, I got someone out there
They can
that
get sick.
they came in to work,
Right.
and now they got a 1061, they gotta leave, so, or emergency or whatever, now they leave, so now I have to have someone there
To
that's
relieve
available to
them.
go out there and run that next run.
And what he's talking about mostly is a daily, it's It's something that's not planned the day before, it's happening on that day.
I was just wondering if there was a limit at some point, if another group comes in, that way, another individual
Right.
comes in, that way you don't end up with one guy, like you
Right.
said, running a 15-hour day.
Right.
Because he sat there for 5, now he's gotta run a 10-hour shift.
Right.
You know,
So our scenario, let's remove it, let's put it on the table that we have some discussion about what's fair for a daily extra board operator to come in the maximum hours that they would be able to be available. Right, our scenario just broke it up. But the true concern that we have is that if I come in, that there's a cutoff time for me, as Mr. said, there's a cutoff time. So what's a reasonable cutoff time? And how could you manage giving
Yeah,
that
it can be
person
done.
that time, right? So we're not expecting people not to do a 10-hour day. That's, we expect that, right? But going past 12, 13, 14 hours with not knowing, I can't tell you how to manage it, but that's our concern.
But I guess that's where we go back to Article 31 though, Article 31. Operators not permitted or required to drive more than 12 consecutive
Right.
hours in any one 24-hour period. No operator should drive after having been on duty for 16 consecutive hours in any one 24-hour period, or drive more than 70 hours in any period of 7 consecutive days. So it's like we already have like the limitations already.
Yeah,
Like
that's
you said.
DOT, right? That's DOT.
Yeah, that's DOT.
But the reality is,
Yes, ma'am.
I think the part that we're not also discussing that has to be discussed when we're talking about the extra board and the extra work is that we have at times several operators, because we're short staffed, that are possibly extra board operators, and then they cover the board in between their extra board assignments. And so then what happens is they are then, it complicates the situation, because if they're doing their extra work, or if they've covered the board, I'll give an example. I don't know if he still does extra board or not. I think Bess used to do EWS. He would cover the board for his first 2 hours, and then he would do, I don't know if it was job, I think 4 or 5 for EWF. So, or if he was on which was on the extra board, that job was on the extra board, not the job he selected. In that scenario, if he doesn't get well, he would have an assignment then. I think that's some of the concerns that have happened in the past, is that we have folks that have already covered the board before they did their regular extra board assignment. So that would complicate them. To me, that's something that we need to also have a conversation on, is folks that are covering the board and ensuring that they're not going over, that they can cover the board if the work is available, but as long as it's not going to have to go over the maximum required hours. Because I think we've gotten some, questions with like Juan Contis at times. She does a lot of extra work as well, getting right there on the verge of that 16 at times because of that. So we just making sure that we're, I didn't want to let that not be put into the equation as well. We do want to make sure that everyone is not driving more than the necessary hours, because folks do have to come back to work the next day, so we want to make sure everyone has the appropriate rest, and they have the ability to still have some life with their family. It's just how do we...
so let me just say this to you. Your biggest problem right now is you got a huge shortage. We all know that. That's where when you have a full staff workforce, covering and staggering people throughout the day to pick up those shifts that are later in the day that potentially could call out, right? Pre-pandemic, we didn't have issues with this system. We didn't have this kind of problems, what you're having now. When you have full staff, it's a whole new ball game. You're not dishing out a ton of overtime. And I mean, I'm willing to talk about making that a 4-hour window rather than a 3. But because of the status of the workforce, right now, that's probably the biggest issue.
Yeah, the goal is to try to find
I'd be
something.
willing to change that to 4-hour window.
What do you think about that, Ms. Ellis, if it was a 4-hour window? Because that would pretty much allow us to, if it's a 4-hour window, that'll allow us to still be able to, because I'm just worried about the piece of work. And I know once we get the scheduling software, you know, I think that'll allow us to be able to manage it a little bit more efficiently than what we do currently with the routes. But I think the 4-hour window, I was just doing the times in my head.
Me too.
It'll probably pretty much be spot on by the way that the current routes are right now. It'll be spot on to where it won't leave that. Because I was worried about
Where the shifts are overlapping.
I was worried about that 6 p.m. Like Ms. Lane, you know,
Yeah,
like
the
the ones
6 p.m., that's the,
them last ones, 6 and 7.
area
I was
we
worried
always
about.
have a problem, is that early morning, entry work, because if someone calls out at 8 o'clock in the morning, now we're scrambling, trying to find someone.
I mean, you gonna have that problem because you're short, you know. But as far as cover the board, you got a lot of jobs that have cover board on it. And that should take up some of the piece of work that is out there. But you got to get on the same page. You got to let your supervisors know, you know, when these people sign up for extra work, they can't go over their 12. You got to drove 14 days straight.
Right.
Yeah, I've been paying attention to that, Ms. Lane. I have. That's why
We had one guy had 68 hours.
Okay, let's not digress, we making
But
progress.
I'm saying,
Let's
you
not digress.
know,
I'm with you. So,
you have to get your supervisors on the, and make sure it's done correctly where these drivers will not work over their hours and their days, you know.
And
And I can understand the cover board's supposed to pick up some of the slack,
that's,
but the extra board, when they choose a job, they get work first.
Yeah.
Even over extra cover board, they get to work first regardless. And then if you got work that's still open, that's where you go and look at these people that got the cover board
Yeah.
on their work. And if they can fill that work, that's who gets it. And then after that, then you go to the sign-up sheet.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, even everything you have, it's that 3-hour window, we can move that to a 4-hour window that allow.
well, we agree to moving into 4 hours, that's not a problem.
Yeah, and with the way we have proposed, like the extra board, again, I'm all about seniority, but as long as the extra board get to work first,
Yeah.
and then
It's not an issue.
we're gonna remain in the work by seniority.
Yeah.
And I still want to use our cover board, say we still use the cover board, we need to use the cover board.
It'll work out. We can get full house.
So help me, all right, so 8 and 9, we agree to 4 hours is not a problem. 10, does changing that to 4 hours help you, in section 10?
So the only thing I worry about that, okay, so I just want to try to get an understanding. First full assignment outside the window time frame, which operator whose window is close to the job report time. So I think now with the 4-hour window, now that'll allow us, you know, to be able to make a determination that, you know, so I see why you put that there. I understand 10 now, because initially I didn't understand 10, but now I see it'll actually be going, if someone has 4:25 to 7:25, if I got something and somebody else got it 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock,
Right.
I got the 7:30 job come open, that 4:25 person, they gonna get
take
that
it.
one because
Right.
it's closer to their time, so now they won't have to worry about the 8 o'clock
That's
person
correct.
being that long with what they normally do. Now, I understand now, I understand.
So we should be pretty close on closing that out too. We don't have a problem with the 4 hours, we agree with that.
Ms. Ellis, if you can look at it, Ms. Ellis, just, and if we need to,
Question about section 11. Can they speak to that, please?
You said section 11?
regular operators working on their day off or off time will be guaranteed not less than 4-hour times.
Working on their day off will not be guaranteed less than 4 hours. So if I come to work and, on my day off, I'm asked to come to work and I'm there, it's just, I'm sitting there, and you send me home after 2 hours, it's not worth it. It's not worth me coming in. So that guarantee is in every contract I have. I don't know how to explain it except that you guarantee me 4 hours, which is you know, the time I get up, come to work and sit down, if there's no work and you send me home, no problem. If you send me out to work, that's no problem. But at a minimum, I will get paid 4 hours. I mean, that's pretty, yeah, that's pretty standard.
Did you hear that, Ms. Ellis? But they're pretty much saying, what I'm hearing is, if someone comes to work, we're making sure that we work them for 4 hours. If we brought them on their off day to work, we're gonna work them for 4 hours.
Put them out there, pre-trip those buses,
Do whatever you
what
want.
they gotta
but
do.
I'm guaranteed
Still
4.
guarantee of 4 hours.
Right.
For the effort of them getting up and coming in.
I don't want you to bring
An
that
hour
up.
to get there, an hour to go home,
Right.
and 2 hours left.
Right. That's all it is.
To
It's just,
clarify, this is not cover board time that's built into the job. These are,
no, it's not cover board time, because this is off day.
okay, just wanted to clarify.
Right. It's no
It's an
problem.
incentive to come in.
Right,
Of course, they're hoping to catch a whole run that day, probably.
right. We would rather come to work and get a whole run, but
Sometimes it don't work out like
All right,
Okay.
what else?
Section 12 though, where you say, I gotta be able to get this, the weekly bids and tally upon request within 2 hours.
All right, what did we change? What did we change? See,
you don't like us trying to muscle you on that
Within
one?
2 hours, come on. If you-
What's a reasonable time for you?
At least give me a day to maybe get this done.
24 hours.
24
All
hours.
right, 24 hours it is.
You know, slow down.
I couldn't hold it back at a good laugh.
Daily assignment sheets.
I'm sorry, Tanya, I was laughing and talking over you. Can you please repeat that?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So this is if there's a request for the daily assignment sheets, or are these for every daily assignment sheet?
I think that depends on what's going on.
yeah, we're not gonna be requesting it all the
Yeah.
time. You know that, we don't do that.
Yeah, that's just.
It's usually tied to someone that's come to us and said, I got skipped, or, you know, I should have got that piece of work. Then we have to go and get a copy to see if it's true. That's all. We're not gonna do it every day.
Okay, so this is the part, okay, request, okay, because I was like, whoo.
Yeah.
All right, I'm
No.
good with that.
No. Trust me, I don't want it every day.
We don't need all that paperwork,
Like,
no
we're
way.
not trying to kill the trees.
Yeah,
No, I
that's
don't
right.
want it. I just want it when we need to investigate whether someone's telling us the truth, Tanya, that's all.
I understand.
Minimize grievances and problems.
Right. And a lot of times, Tanya, you know this, the ops manager, after we look at something, we can go and meet with the ops manager and we resolve it before it even becomes a grievance. Or we can prove it to the driver the management was correct in what they did.
That's all I have with that, Ms. Ellis. Did you see anything else in there? And we can change those items or work, just that 3-hour window to a 4-hour window, make those other proposed changes.
Yeah,
and
that's
we come
done.
back.
We agree to it.
I don't see anything else wrong.
So that's another one we needed to get it typed up, but that's another one down.
It's a big article to get out of the way. It's quite a few well, we reduced it.
I think for that article.
3
probably,
pages
like,
from 6.
Probably can help streamline it from readability, so once it's TA, everyone can have an understanding, because it's kind of
Yes.
Yep.
jumps around.
Yeah.
Okay. That kind of knocks out everything we had today.
Unless we just want to discuss a couple of those great ones, great.
We can. I mean,
Just.
we got a little bit of time, and we want to discuss some of the other things that I talked about this morning that we thought we was close on. We can have.
Or at least one of them, seniority.
Yeah, I thought we was close last time, so that's a good conversation.
Do we have the last proposal on the table for seniority?
Yeah, and I think, so if you could pull up your senior, do you have a copy of it or no? Well, it's in your mind. I guess where we're at with this, and I just really need to understand, what is the concern with seniority on your side? Sometimes when you talk it out, then I can understand where you're at.
Well, I think we were intending to parse down seniority to a simple statement of how it is defined for the purposes of calculating your seniority as opposed to other people. And I guess we thought a lot of the other language was not necessary. Would that be fair to say, Kristen?
So if I could just throw something out.
Sure.
If we were sitting here talking about the road department, I understand it's not really based on seniority, correct?
Correct.
But when the transit, as you can hear us going back and forth, talking about extra work, assignment of runs, you hear the discussion, it's all based on seniority. So that's why it's important to us to have the language in there about time and service seniority, departmental seniority, dual seniority. The only reason dual seniority is in there, because we actually had a history, we had a case, where we had an employee who was Mr. McIntyre, James McIntyre. He after 28 years, his back went bad, right? And so he had to switch to customer service, and he went to customer service for 3 years. But within those 3 years, he got surgery done and was able to come back over to driving. It's called dual seniority. And it allowed him to go right back to where he was in the seniority without loss of time and all that kind of stuff. And it actually was an arbitration case on it that was thrown in our face about it. So that's why that language is there. It's not, that language is not there for any other reason other than for both sides to understand seniority and to.
But why would you need 3 different types of seniority?
Because you have time and service seniority, which is your, based on your, how you determine your.
Benefit levels.
Your benefit levels.
As we discussed earlier, when we wanted them to switch over and maintain their seniority as far as benefits, if you was in the county, we asked for, of course, the paratransit side too. That would be one type of seniority.
So let's use another example. If you're a maintenance employee, you switch over to operations, you got benefit seniority. Because, I still get 3 weeks of
I
vacation.
still keep my time, and then when I go into the department, I build department seniority by going to the bottom of the list and working my way back up.
So department seniority, when you say going to the bottom of the list, is used for assignments?
For
Correct.
schedules.
Correct.
Oh, give you an example if I can. If I was to, I've got 36 years there at the company. If I was to move over to the driver's side, I would keep my 6 weeks vacation, I would keep my seniority number, but I would go to the bottom of that department's list to choose, and that's departmental seniority.
And so, as Mike was saying, the dual seniority part is if, say, I can't perform my duties and Ms. Ellis hires me to go over into customer service for a while, and I know I'm gonna be out for, can't be a mechanic, for example, because I can't do the bending and lifting and stuff until my surgery heals. It may take 16, 18 months. And then so I hold seniority in both departments for the selection process of bidding. Then I go back to my regular maintenance job. I don't lose my seniority and have to go back to the bottom of my seniority list, all right? Because I'm currently over here and I'm holding seniority in the job slot. Then when I transfer back over to my slot, I don't lose my 36 years of time in seniority in that department. So that's kind of the thought
So
pattern
let me
behind
ask
it.
this question. Who tracks all this seniority?
Who tracks it?
Yeah, who tracks it?
The union tracks it.
Normally,
He's smiling over there.
Well, then I don't care.
yeah.
It's exactly what he says. How many times have you
As long
said
as
this
it's
to
not
me?
burdening us down.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he says. He says, seniority's on the union, because we control it with our membership.
Knock yourself out.
But it's a transparent.
I see, I guess, so one is a seniority as to your benefits, one is for
Job
schedule.
selection, right.
And the only seniority, if you will, that we're, is just years of service.
Right.
That's all you guys would care
Yeah,
about.
that's all
we
y'all
care
care
about.
about.
It's not a big deal. This article's really not a big deal.
Is that true?
Yep, that's it. That's the only thing we care about is just make sure they get paid correctly and their vacation is correctly, which will be happening with HR. With the HR, you know, HR has in the HR handbook, it says how
Well,
seniority works.
If you see the second page, you'll see now that we just TA rehire, you just change that from 51 to 49, whatever article that is, that's added in there too. And this article's done.
All right, well, we're gonna have to rewrite it because, but I think we can work through that. Is there anything, Krista, that I'm missing in seniority? An issue that I'm missing?
No.
The only thing we had to understand at first was the terminology you put in with time and service seniority.
Yeah.
I think that was company seniority to us before.
Right.
That was what it was called before, company seniority. In the maintenance department, it's based on time and service when you make selections, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
For their shifts
Mhm.
and their vacation.
Correct.
Right.
Just like operator does vacation.
That's the most complicated seniority
It is
system I've
complicated.
ever seen.
And I will be honest with you guys, a lot of that is the union trying to protect workers that get injured or have scenarios and stuff like that. That's where this kind of stuff goes for, where we don't have, we're trying to always help people stay employed.
Okay.
So we run into other things outside of benefits and stuff like that. So, hey, can we move this person over here so they don't have to get terminated because they don't meet their job description anymore? That's just us trying to do our job and protect people, that's all.
I guess the other thing that I would bring up is, I think last time we talked about the grievance and arbitration process, and I recall that you said generally you're good with it, but that you wanted to work on the timeframes? Is that what, is that
Yeah,
right?
I'm still working through that, discussing
Yeah,
it.
but you're accurate in what you're saying.
Okay.
And then there's like Article 14, paydays. I can't imagine why we don't have a TA on an article entitled paydays.
We do have a TA. No, I think
No, we don't, I don't.
We
know.
don't, and I'm like,
No,
why
I
don't we
think-
have a TA on that?
we just
Such a
decided
simple article.
it didn't need to be in the contract.
Paydays don't need to be in the contract?
No, that those terms didn't need to be in the contract.
Let me look at that.
We proposed,
I don't know if I agree with that one.
proposed
but-
to be.
Yeah.
Hey, while you're looking at that, we'll let Crystal explain or mention our sign-on incentive.
So it's good news. The county's proposed, because of all of our vacancies countywide, of doing a recruitment incentive for specified positions as designated by the county administrator. So basically, we ran a report on several different items and designated, so for your position, bus operators, cleaners, fuelers, mass transit fleet maintenance technicians, and trolley operators. For recruitment purposes, we'd like to do a $2,000 lump sum sign-on bonus to be able to get people in the door. The only caveat to that, basically, is you gotta work for us for a year.
Oh, I was
Don't
getting
work
ready to
for us.
sign up. I can't work. Yeah.
If you don't work for us for a year, you just gotta pay back on a prorated basis. But it's to get people in the door,
How do you?
to be able to fill those vacancies.
Can I refer?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and there's no quitting and then coming back the next day.
Yeah, right.
We would definitely sign up though.
Yeah, but we just wanted to bring it to all of our unions' attention because obviously it's a recruitment sign-on bonus, so obviously it's something that
Is it
obviously
a
would be
permanent
part of
or
the
is it
union.
a part? Is it a permanent or is it a time frame?
So it's obviously because it's impacting us right now, it's a time frame. So we'll probably reevaluate 6 months, a year from now. It just
So
depends on
is
vacancies.
there a recruitment bonus for those that refer people?
No, completely.
So if an
different.
employee
There-
goes
there's
out
no
and
referral.
recruits
There's
people?
no referral fee.
No,
There's no referral fees?
no, absolutely not.
Well,
We're trying to get
that's
people
good.
in the door.
Yeah, well.
And I absolutely, we are more than welcome to take in everybody's referral, but
I
as of
think,
right now,
I
we
think
don't
the
have a
entire
referral program.
ITL Solutions will walk off the job and come over there.
So I would
With their
ask-
management, they can't.
I would
stay.
ask that you and the administrator just draft up something to the union just outlining what you said, I think that would be good communications. And if you stop it at any time, just put in a letter. If we decide to stop it, we'll notify you.
Okay.
I think that's just an act,
Good
simple act.
So what are you trying to do right now to recruit people? I'm sure you're.
We're gonna give them
job
$2,000.
services.
Yeah, right?
Well, you're
As far as-
how are you getting it out there so people
Yeah,
know
is it
about
going
it?
out, how is it getting out there?
Find
Well, we
se-
gotta first get it approved,
Okay.
obviously, so we're not advertising that right now because
Oh.
we need to have all unions on board and then we have to put it in front of the Board of County Commissioners. And then once that happens, there's gonna be a lot of media.
Today getting ready to call
blast.
sisters, cousins, aunts, and uncles. You need a job, come to
Well,
work
it's
with
gonna
us.
be
Well,
a
wait,
pipeline
can I go
of
further
traffic.
than this? If Mr. Kimbrough and I can continue our talks about training people to get their CDLs,
I knew that was coming.
just to get their permit, and then get them on the job to get them their license, man, I think you'd have people standing at the door. You gotta get that piece in
That's
place.
attractive to younger folks too.
CDL program too.
No, the
For recruitment.
$2,000.
$2,000 with the CDL pro, because going to get your CDLs, going to get your CDLs is kind of a nightmare once you start from the outside looking at, oh man, I gotta go through all of that, I gotta get me a vehicle, I ain't doing that. But if you have both, an incentive plus we'll train you or provide you a vehicle, usually people will say, I'll sign on to that.
As a recruitment, have you thought about going out to George Stone to recruit mechanics out there at George Stone or anything like that?
We've been over there talking to them.
Okay. I was curious
Yeah,
about that. 'cause
Jamie's been out there talking to them.
You want $5,000 for mechanical, right?
So what happens if?
I just want mechanics.
What happens if a mechanic from Fleet says, I wanna go over to ECAT, do I get the 2,000?
Nope, you do not.
Yeah, well, you know.
But he get a hell of a pay increase.
Yeah, he would, potentially.
We
That
tried-
might change on the
We
30th,
tried
right?
that, but a couple of guys didn't want to go to the bottom of the pick list.
Yeah, he'd go on the bottom of the pick list, and I don't think he wants.
So we appreciate you sharing that with us. That's really good.
We're not gonna see pushback on us, from us on that.
On
We don't think
paydays,
so, but we always
Paydays,
wanna be courteous.
even if we said, okay, we can put paydays back in the contract, and this language seems benign enough. Unfortunately, this is one of the areas in which we need to have the representative of the clerk with us, because they actually do this work. And unfortunately, the person who comes from the clerk's office just for this purpose, for this article, probably, a couple others, could not attend today because of a sick family member. So,
we'll wait till the next time.
yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah, but we can just walk through it. I'm sure we can close it out too. We just
Yeah, as
walk
long
through
as,
it,
yeah,
you know.
if she's
What's
good with it, I
acceptable,
think
right?
we're probably gonna be good with it. The other thing that I see substantive here is that we're gonna reimburse the CDL renewal driver's license, and I don't know, do we do that now?
Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. You gotta get it yourself, and then everything after that is reimbursed because it's part of your job requirement. That's.
But like, I don't know what they're doing over there about direct deposit. I don't know what they're doing about.
Well, we can wait. I mean, it's not it's just something that we think we can walk through and close out, that's all.
Yeah. Okay,
We'll wait. That makes sense to have somebody from the clerk's office.
yeah.
So I think we've looked at everything, looks like we've addressed everything today.
Yeah, we made
And
some
then,
good
but
progress.
next time we need to get into some real meat.
Do y'all want to select next dates now, Mike, or do you want to, how do you want to proceed with that? We made good progress. We thank you guys for being open to it like we did last time. It's two good sessions, in our opinion.
How does the team prefer? Do you want to wait and pick a date, or pick a date now?
So getting a couple days in a row, especially when we get into these articles that are gonna be a little bit more intense to get through, I personally think it's a good idea. That way, if you have 2 days in a row, Wes, you can, the first day, both sides can hash it out, and you have the ability to come back the next day to close that article out the next day,
Yeah.
And, because there's some open articles here that are gonna looking at your proposal versus ours, we're kind of apart a little bit, but I think we can gradually work our way in.
I don't care if you want 2 days, we can schedule 2 days. That's fine.
Just give us 8 weeks of vacation for senior people than we.
And y'all got more vacation you can use now.
I know.
Well, the sad part about my schedule is
6, 7.
my next availability is the 23rd or 24th.
Of September?
Yes,
23rd and 24th of September.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if those are doable.
I have a hearing in Lakeland, Florida on the 23rd. I could probably do the 24th.
Okay. Well, that's just,
The 24th of Friday.
yes.
Friday seems to be much better for
You said it's better for you? We can do the 24th, then it's okay. Then I also have the 29th and the 30th. If y'all wanna do that, and that'll close out my, September though.
I got bargaining in Tallahassee on the 30th, and I have arbitration on the 29th. I get busy in September for some reason. I don't know why. September's got really tight. Well, let's pick the 24th, and then we'll
Go from there.
Go from there.
Okay. 24th, I got it on my calendar. What time? It's good for everybody.
Well, let's start a little bit later because I'm in Lakeland on the day, I'm in Lakeland on Thursday, so I gotta get from Lakeland to here. I don't know how I do that. Get the Winnebago.
Okay, so what time you want? I'm just writing it down so I know what time.
Let's
to
say
be here.
10.
10 o'clock is fine.
I might have to fly up.
All right, if it's a little later, some just call us and let us know, but at least I know what time I need to be here from traveling, so.
Good.
That's fine, that's no problem.
All right.
All right, thank you guys. I really
All right,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
We're gonna take some time to eat our lunch,
Skipper, you need to
so
talk.
can we have the room for a little while?
Have it until 4.
Okay, thank you.
Goodbye, Curtis. Goodbye.
Thank you, Tanya, bye-bye.
Thank you, Tanya.
Okay.